Okay, good afternoon. I am going to go over homework 23 for you. I'm not going to go over every single problem, but I am going to go over about half of them, and then you guys will be responsible for the other half. I will give you the answer to the problems that we don't do so you can at least check your work. So let's go ahead and start with number 19. It's a word problem. So it says you have a part-time job. You work 3 hours on Friday and 6 hours on Saturday. You also receive an allowance of $20 per week. You earn $92 per week. How much do you earn per hour at part-time job? So what we first need to do is we need to set up an equation. So I know things that are going to be important are I'm working 3 hours, 6 hours. I have an allowance of $20. And then I make $92 per week. That's all important. So now I'm going to go ahead and set up my equation. Now, I took 3 hours plus 6 hours plus 20 and I added them all together because I'm making that money, okay? So that's why it's addition. And then it's going to be set equal to the $92 because that's what I make total. So now we have a multi-step equation. So you'll notice that there's no parentheses, so I don't need to be distributing. There is like terms. You see that 3h and that 6h that are on the same side? You need to combine those. So 3h plus 6h is 9h. Then I brought down everything else because I haven't touched it yet. Now I have a two-step equation, so I got to move that constant over to combine with 92. So that's a plus 20, so the opposite is minus 20. Cross off the 20s, and I'm left with 9h equals 92 minus 20 is 72. Last step is divide, because that's 9 times h. H is equal to 8. So 8 hours. So I worked 8 hours during the week and I made $92. So you guys are going to be responsible to go ahead and do number 20, but I will tell you the answer is 6. So let's go ahead and look at number 21. You'll notice right away that I do have parentheses, so I always got to get rid of parentheses first. Parentheses is just, so I'm going to take the number outside and multiply it by everything within. 8 times r is 8r. 8 times 2 is 16. I'm left with a two-step. So which term am I going to move over and combine with 64? Well, it's going to be that plus 16. Cross that out. Now, the one thing I want you guys to understand is that you might need to have your calculator out. If you know 64 minus 16, that's great, but you should at least check your work. And you're going to get 48 equals 8r, and then 48 equals 8 times r. Opposite is divide both sides by 8. R is equal to 6. Circle it, you are done. Number 22, we're not going to do together, but you will get the answer 3 for. So when we check your work and you submit that, you should have the problem written down, and then you should have the answer 3. If you don't, figure out where you made your mistake. Okay, number 23, we're going to do this one together. First things first, draw your line. Is there parentheses? So we always got to deal with the parentheses first. And we do that by distributing. Oops. That helps you to remember that you're multiplying by everything in the parentheses. So 5 times 2 is 5 times 4 is 20. Now, two-step is what I have left. So I'm going to have to move over that positive 10 and combine it with 85. So the opposite is minus 10. Cross out the 10s. You end up with 20z equals 75. Now remember, that's 20 times z, okay? So then the opposite of times is to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 20. Cross off that. Z is equal to 3.75, and decimals are okay. Okay, number 24, we are not going to end up doing, and remember, you guys can pause this video to see exactly what I'm going through and to get your answers, okay? 24 is equals 2. You're going to have to do that on your own and show your work. 25, do that on your own, show your work. You're going to get F is equal to 7.43. So you guys got to use a calculator. You'll notice there'll be some decimals going on. 26 we're going to do together. You'll notice I have parentheses. I've got to get rid of the parentheses first, always. So I'm going to distribute. I got some negatives going on. Grab your calculator. Check your work. Negative 2 times 2t is negative 4t. Negative 2 times a negative 1 is a positive 2. So you'll notice, and I'll highlight for you, a negative times a negative is a positive, okay? Now, I got my two-step again, so I'm going to end up having to move over that positive 2 to the other side, so I have to use the opposite, which means I'm going to minus 2 to both sides. Now I'm left with 13 equals negative 4t. So that's negative 4 times t, so the opposite is to divide. So you're going to divide both sides by negative 4. Cross out the 4's. T is equal to 13 divided by negative 4 is equal to negative 3.25. Okay, moving on. 27, we're not going to do together, but you're going to do that on your own. You should get 0.17 for F is equal to. 28, we have n plus 5 times the quantity of n minus 1 equals 7. First things first, draw a line down the equal sign. This n that starts off the problem, remember there's an invisible line in front of it, so make sure you copy that down. So now, remember I said with all the other examples, you have to start with the parentheses first. So I'm going to ignore the n, and I'm just going to bring it down. Now I'm going to distribute that positive 5, everything within the parentheses. So 5 times n, 5n, and then positive 5 times a negative 1 is a negative 5. Watch your signs. So now I can combine like terms next. 1n and 5n is 6n. Now I have a two-step. What term am I going to move over and combine with 7? Well, it's going to be that negative 5. The opposite of a negative 5 is a positive 5. 6n is equal to 12. Last step, divide, divide. N is equal to 2. Okay, the last problem we're going to go over is number 29. Draw a line down the equal sign. I notice there's parentheses. I got to get rid of them, so distribute. Negative 4 times r is negative 4r. Negative 4 times positive 6 is negative 24. Around the negative 63. Now I got a two-step left. So what am I going to move over and combine with negative 63? Well, it's going to be that negative 24. So how do I move it over? I got to use the opposite. So this is a perfect time where you guys should definitely have your calculators out. Negative 4r equals, and then in your calculator you would do negative 63 plus 24, and you'd end up with negative 39. That's negative 4 times r, so the opposite is to divide. And then in your calculator, you're going to do negative 39 divided by negative 4, and you're going to get 9.75. Okay, that is the homework. If you need to re-watch this to see how I go through those things or to check your work, please do so. Once you're done, submit this into Schoology. Have a nice day.